Welcome to AI Video 101, where you're going to learn the basics of how to create your first AI short film. You're going to learn how to write prompts, ideate your storyboard, generate your frames, turn them into videos, and then add realistic voiceovers, background music, and sound effects, all inside of ElevenCreative, which connects all of the best AI image, audio, and video models in one place, allowing you to create any AI short film with style and character consistency. What I'm teaching can be applied to any short film in any style, and what we're creating today looks like this.
A tiny adventurer takes her first step. One step, then another.
Inside ElevenCreative, you have all of the tools in the left menu bar to create your first AI short film. If you can't see the tools that I'm talking about, you can click on More Tools and simply pin them to your sidebar. Above these, we have the different interfaces that we can use, specifically Studio and Flows. Studio is like your traditional video editor, and Flows is a node-based canvas that allows us to repeat and automate workflows and create with AI very efficiently. Each of the specific tools can be used for individual generation, but we can also find all of these tools inside Flows and Studio. One of the important features that you'll need throughout the creation of your AI short film will be the assets folder that you can find by clicking the folder icon in the top right of your screen. Here, you can save any of the generations from any of the tools into a folder so you can access them no matter what interface you are using to create your AI short film. This means that you never have to leave ElevenCreative and you don't have to download and re-upload all of your files. Now, let's go and generate our first asset, and we'll start with creating the character. Inside ElevenCreative, to generate our first character, we're simply going to click on the image and video tool. Here we can generate with the world's best image and video models. And to do so, we simply want to describe what we want to generate in the prompt box at the bottom right here. If we want to generate an image, we make sure that we select image, and then down here we have the model picker. In here you have all of the best AI image models in the world. You simply go ahead and choose a model, such as GPT Image 2, and type out what you like. So for example here, if we want to generate a hedgehog, I can do so. Below this, we have the different settings that I can customize. Here, we've got the aspect ratio, we've got the image resolution, we've got the quality of the generation, and then we've got the number of variations that we want to generate. Next to this, we have the prompt rewriting. If we're using short and simple prompts, you can toggle this on to get more creative outputs at a higher quality. But if you're using long, more complex prompts, I suggest you turn this off so you get something that is true to the prompt that you've written. So here, I'm simply going to toggle it off. And now let's generate our first image and click generate. And now, as you can see, we've got our 4 images generating. When it comes to the beginning and creating all of the assets, you are essentially world building. You're creating your characters, you're creating your scenes, your locations, all of the objects that you want to use in your video. And with this, you need to do a lot of prompting. And when generating, sometimes the models can take a little bit of time to generate. So for example, here, as you can see, we've just got our first generations come through, and we can see it's a hedgehog from a very simple prompt. One of the models I suggest using if you are in the explore stage of your AI short film is actually switching to Nano Banana 2 Lite. Nano Banana 2 Lite is a much cheaper model. Its limitations are that it generates at a maximum of 1K resolution. However, it is very cheap and it is very fast to generate your pictures. So for example here, if we go and click generate once again, now within just a few seconds, as you can see, the percentage is going much faster, we will have the generations of our hedgehog. And of course, you'll notice that the output of Nano Banana 2 Lite is actually quite different to the output of GPT Image 2. There's 3 reasons to this. First of all, each model interprets a prompt differently. Second of all, each model has a different style of output. And the third reason here is that we haven't been specific with the prompt at all. The more specific you are with the prompt, the more consistent the results are between the different models. So when you are laying the groundwork to your short film and you are in the explore phase, make sure that you try different models and different prompts and see what you like the most. Generating images is much cheaper and faster than actually generating videos. And the biggest mistake is actually trying to generate the video first, because you'll end up burning through your credits way too quickly without even knowing what that generation is going to look like. But when you start with reference images and start frames, you know exactly what the character is going to look like in the video before you even generate the video. So always start with generating all the assets you want and essentially build out your storyboard just like you do with traditional filmmaking. Now, instead of using a simple prompt like the word hedgehog, here we're going to customize it a little bit. And this is the prompt that I'm going to use. A 100% felt-made scene of a tiny hedgehog peeking out of a pile of stitched autumn leaves. Now here, what I'm doing at the beginning is I'm describing the style of the scene. After that, I'm including the subject, and I'm also describing the subject, and I'm also including the objects and describing those as well. At the end, I've got a little bit of negative prompting. I don't want any text appearing on this generation. And then we're also adding a little bit more context and more details so we can get some unique results. So here now, with this more complex prompt, if I go ahead and click generate, let's take a look at the result. And once again, we're using Nano Banana 2 Lite, so we should get the results pretty quickly. Nano Banana 2 Lite is great for exploration, but sometimes once you've found the prompt that you want to use, you might want to switch to a different model. So here, as you can see, we've got 4 generations of this little hedgehog peeking out of a pile of leaves in a felt style that I want to use for the animation of my short film. Now, if I went and switched this model and we chose something like GPT Image 2 and I click generate, we'll also get a different result. And we'll also generate with Seedream 5 Pro, just so you can see the difference between a few different models. And for speed purposes, I'm just going to change the resolution to 1 here and then click generate. And as you can see, if you look at the different generations from the different models, although the prompt is the same, we have a different style. And this is why I actually prefer using GPT Image 2 for this type of animation over Nano Banana, because I prefer the result and the feel of that felt style that I'm going for. And here you'll quickly notice that in the image and video feed, well, we're creating a vertical feed of all the generations, which isn't necessarily the most efficient way to create when using AI. And this is why we've built flows. If we click on flows in the left sidebar, here we go ahead and click on new flow. Now we have this node-based canvas that I was talking about that has all of the AI audio, image, and video tools baked into it. And so we can do everything that we can do within ElevenCreative straight on this canvas. And it works just the same. Here at the bottom, we have all of the tools. If I want to go ahead and generate an image, I can go and click on an image node. I can paste in the same prompt as earlier. We can also customize the settings, and then we can click run, and that will generate a variation of this prompt within this node. The great thing about flows is that when you're creating with AI, you're consistently reusing prompts and reusing images as references for your videos. And so what this allows you to do when we want to turn this generation into a video, well, we can simply drag and use this image as a reference. And when we let go, we can then choose a different type of node that we want to use. And here later on, we'll be using the video generation node and then typing in a new prompt to turn the static image into a video. But before we do that, I want to make sure that my style and my character is consistent throughout the entire short film. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a character reference sheet based off of this hedgehog right here. So it's always consistent throughout. And we're going to take this image node and we're going to drag a connector from it. And here we're going to choose edit image. And what I'm going to do is we're going to change the aspect ratio to 16:9. And here we are using this image of the hedgehog as a reference. And so I can use the prompt to create a character reference sheet of this hedgehog from all angles. So I can use it as a reference asset for all my generations. And essentially here you'll notice that I'm simply talking to the AI just like I would to a human. What I do want to do is, because this is a character reference sheet that we're going to consistently reuse over and over again, 1, I want it to be perfect, but 2, I want it to also be at the best quality possible. So here I'm going to change this to 4K, and then I'm going to change the quality to high and simply click run. And now, as you can see, I've got a character reference sheet of our hedgehog from all angles, meaning that I know what my character is going to look like from every single angle in all of the future scenes that we generate. This means that I'll have character consistency throughout my entire short film. So it's very important that I'm super happy with what my character looks like on the character reference sheet. And we can go customize everything here. And to do that, we could simply take this, drag another node, click edit image, and basically describe the changes that we want to make. So if I said I want my hedgehog to have blue spikes, we could simply say change the hedgehog spikes to be blue. And once you have your character reference sheet, we can now create the storyboard. But before creating the storyboard and generating each individual scene, I find it's very helpful to create the voiceover first, so I know exactly how many scenes I need. To do that, back in ElevenCreative, we're going to go ahead and click on text to speech. And here, you can type out any text that you want to be said. And so this is the voiceover that I want to use for this scene of my short film. And then we click generate speech.
In a quiet corner of the world, a tiny adventurer takes her first step. One step, then another.
And as you can see, we now have our voiceover being read out. And here we have 2 generations that we can choose from. If we're not happy, we can go and customize the text and regenerate. And now you'll notice the voice that I had for this short film has a narrator style voice, because I want this to be a narrator describing what the hedgehog is doing. And the reason it's a narrator style voice is because that's the type of voice that I chose from the voice library. To change it, here, as you can see, I've got the voice selection, and I can go and browse all of the voices that I've added to my voice library, or we can actually go and explore and choose new voices. And so here, you can simply type out the type of voice that you're looking for. Here we've got narrator, and now we've got a bunch of different narrator style voices that we can use for our short film. But if you want some action voices, male, female, you name it, you've got all types of voices within the ElevenLabs voice library. And if you want a better experience when browsing for voices, you can simply click on voices, and here you've got a huge library with hand-picked collections. you can see some iconic voices, and there's also a weekly spotlight of trending voices within ElevenCreative that all have different use cases. Back in the text-to-speech tool, I want to have more control over the voiceover that reads my story. And so what we want to do is two things. We want to use audio tags. Audio tags are essentially words that you can add in square brackets between specific lines to direct the AI on how to read the voiceover. To be able to use audio tags, we need to make sure that we're using the 11v3 model. So here under model in the drop-down menu, make sure you've chosen 11v3, which is the most expressive text-to-speech model. This allows you to have voiceovers with a lot of emotion. Now let's go and add some audio. And to add some audio tags, we can add a square bracket. And let's say we wanted the narrator to whisper this a little bit more. Well, if we add whisper and now we click generate.
In a quiet corner of the world, a tiny adventurer takes her.
As you can see, the narrator is now whispering the voiceover. And so here you can truly direct the AI to get the specific voiceover and voice that you want. And you'll notice here, I finished adding in my audio tags and I've gone really in depth into customizing the generation to get the exact voiceover that I want for my short film. And now if we click generate.
In a quiet corner of the world, a tiny adventurer takes her first step. One step, then another, until the whole sky opens up. Little wanderer.
And so here what we can do is we can go and actually download the voiceover that we like the most. And it is worth mentioning, if we go back into Flows, that you can add text-to-speech directly in your Flows project because there is a text-to-speech node. It's just that when you are working with longer voiceovers, it's more useful to do it directly within the text-to-speech tool. And if I click on assets at the top, you'll notice that I've actually added the voiceover and I can simply drag and drop that in as an audio file onto my canvas. Now let's create the storyboard. To create the storyboard, we're going to be using this character reference sheet for every single scene. And here I'm going to generate about 5 different scenes for the story. And for these generations, we're going to be using GPT Image 2 because again, this is the style that I prefer for this type of animation. And these are the 5 prompts that I'm going to be using. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of these prompts and I can paste text directly onto the canvas. And then I can drag a connector from the prompt. We can do image generation. And then I'm also going to connect up the character reference sheet right here. What I want to do is customize it. I'm creating a 16:9 short film. And so here I select 16:9, change the resolution to 4K because I want the highest resolution image, because when we use images as a reference for videos, the better the resolution, the better the video. And once I've done this, I've now got the prompt, I've got the reference sheet, I can simply click run and we are generating our first scene. To go and do the next scene, here on Mac, I can simply hold down Option and click and drag. And you'll notice this image node is still connected up to the reference sheet and also the prompt, but we don't want this prompt box. So I'm going to delete this connector and I'm going to paste my next prompt. And once again, we're just going to connect this up as a connector to the image node. And I do want to say that you can also directly paste the prompt on the image node, but sometimes it's nicer and to keep things clean to have it as a separate text node, just like this. And now we can go ahead and click run once again, and it will generate our second scene. And because we are duplicating these, well, we don't have to change all of the settings because they are already the same. We just need to make sure that we use the correct prompt. And here I'm just pasting in the third prompt and I'll connect this up. And I'm going to do a total of 5 scenes. But of course, you have unlimited space on this canvas and you have complete freedom to generate as many as you need, but you just want to make sure that you're happy with your storyboard first. And here's what mine looks like. As you can see, now I've got my 5 different scenes generated on my canvas, and these are the 5 beats of my storyboard right here. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that when you're creating AI short films, especially within Flows, it can pretty quickly get pretty messy. And so it's great just to keep it quite neat. And here you can simply highlight everything, right click and then click tidy up, and it will organize things a little bit neater for you. But sometimes I actually like to put my short films in horizontal order, just so things go from left to right. It's also quite nice to actually have each prompt above, just so it kind of stays in order. And then over here, I'm going to keep the character reference sheet just like so. So now I've got my storyboard in order and we've got all of the frames. And once again, the reason we want to do everything as still frames before we turn it into video is so we get the perfect result and perfect output before generating the video, because generating video takes time and it takes up a lot of credits. Here, for the purpose of the tutorial, we're going through this quite quickly, but I might want to regenerate some scenes. I might want to place the hedgehog on the right side. Here, I might want to change the color of this flower, or I might want to remove the bee, or here I might want to add multiple bees. And you can essentially go through every single one of these frames, and you can either change and adapt the prompt so you get a different generation within this node, or you can actually take the exact image, click and drag a connector, and do edit image node, and here we can prompt the change that we want. So we're no longer working from the character reference sheet that we've got over here, but we are working from the storyboard scene that we generated. And so here we could say, add 2 bees, and then click generate. And essentially we'll get this exact same frame, but with 2 bees. And when you are making edits to a specific frame, the best models to use are the precise AI editing models, and that is either GPT Image 2 or it is Nano Banana 2. And here we want to use Nano Banana 2 and not Nano Banana 2 Lite, because again, Nano Banana 2 Lite caps you at 1K resolution. So once you've got your storyboard, you really want to make sure that you're happy with each individual scene before turning it into a video. And so for fun, let's go and customize this one a little bit right here. Let's say I want a felt version of myself that walks into this scene, and I actually want the video scene to be it starting off just with the hedgehog and then me slowly walking into the frame. I'm going to drag a connector and click edit image. And here, now I need a new reference, and the reference that I need is a picture of me. So I'm simply going to go and click on my assets folder. And here, if I go back to home, I've got already some references of me. So I can click and drag and drop this reference in. And now I can use this as an image reference because we can have multiple image references. And a very important part to AI filmmaking when you have multiple references is that when you write your prompts, you can tag the specific reference. Up until now, we haven't been doing that just because we have one character reference sheet. And so when you only have the one character reference sheet, the AI model will know what you're talking about. But when you start to have multiple subjects and multiple objects, well, you can tag specific references. So here, I'm just going to set this to 16:9, change the quality to high. I can type something out like add a felt version of, and this time I want to tag the specific reference. And so here, this is the snapshot of me. So I'm saying add a felt version of this image on the right of the hedgehog in, and then I tag again, and this time we're tagging image 1, which is this original scene. And then here we can click generate. And as you can see, we now have a felt version of me in this scene. And what's really cool is that by doing this, I can use this as a start frame and have this as the end frame of my video. So I know exactly where it's going to start and where it's going to end. And this is a technique that you can use to get more specific results when generating your videos and turning your storyboard into a video. Because here, and we'll see this in just a second, but I'm going to turn this frame into a video without knowing where it's going to end. But this frame is going to turn into a video and we know it's going to end on exactly this one. And so now let's turn our storyboard into a video. To do this, we're going to use image to video prompts. And image to video prompts are simply small description prompts of what we want to happen in the scene. We don't need to be too descriptive because AI models usually use the context of the actual frame itself that we give it to turn that into a video, but we want to do small and subtle things like describing the action of our character, maybe describing where we want the video to go. Obviously, the more description you give it, the more control that you have over the output, but sometimes something quite simple can work. And so here, I'm going to take these 5 prompts and we're going to connect them up within Flows to some video nodes. To do this, back on Flows, we're simply going to drag a connector and we're going to choose video generation. And then here, I'm just going to move this down so I keep all of my video generations on the same layer. Here, we're going to paste in our prompt. And now we need to change the model and the settings. Here in the model picker, once again, we've got all of the best AI video models in the world inside ElevenCreative, all of the same models that we can find inside image and video. And once again, they all have different styles and different purposes. For animation type of content, I tend to prefer going with models like Kling. We've got Kling 3.0 Pro, we've got Kling 2.6 Pro, and all of these models I think are pretty good at generating animation style videos. You've also got models that you've likely heard of called Seedance 2.0, which is one of the most realistic AI video models. However, it's very expensive and it's also very slow. We can go with Google's models, so we've got Veo. These are quite old, and we've also got Gemini Omni Flash, which is the latest model from Google, which is a great model, but sometimes it's hard to get consistent results. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using Seedance 2.0, and I want to generate this at 1080p. Once again, when you're testing with video, sometimes you want to generate at a lower resolution, which will cost you less credits, before generating at a higher resolution. Or the alternative is actually generating at a lower resolution, and then we can drag from the video node and we can actually click on upscale to have an upscale node. And we can upscale this with Topaz. And here with Topaz, we actually want to select precise. And this is a great way to generate at low resolutions, so it's faster, and then upscale later once we know that we're happy with the video generation. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to use Seedance 2.0. We're going to generate a 1080p, and we want to select duration. Not all models have full control of the duration, but with Seedance 2.0, we can choose the generation anywhere between 4 seconds to 15 seconds. And for this story, I think I need maybe about 5 seconds. But when it comes to AI video, it's great to have a little bit of leeway when you're editing everything together. So sometimes you might chop off the beginning or chop off the end. So it's good to generate a little bit of extra, even if you don't use all of it, just so you've got freedom when it comes to editing. Otherwise, you have to come back later and regenerate it. And extending the scene is never as good as trimming down the original one, because when you extend, you can sometimes lose a little bit of consistency. And so here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to generate 7 seconds. Before I begin, on the left here, we have a few different important parts. As you can see, we're dragging from the image node, so this image, and we're using it as a reference for the start frame. This means that Seedance 2.0 is going to begin the video on this frame right here. What we could do is also use it as the image reference without having it be a specific frame in particular, but to get consistent results here, we're just going to start with the start frame. And here I'm simply going to click run. When you generate with start frames, it means that you can most of the time often generate with end frames. And so if I duplicate this node, and we're going to connect the first frame of my second scene up, and we want this frame right here to be the end frame. And so I'm going to drag and connect this up to the end frame connector. And once again, I'm going to go and use Seedance. We want this to be 16:9. I'm going to generate 7 seconds, but this time I want to change the prompt. This is the prompt that I'm going to use. And because we changed the scene a little bit, and I am now on the right side of the hedgehog sitting down, well, what I want to add to the end of the prompt is man walks in from the right. And Seedance 2.0 is going to be able to put 2 and 2 together and know that the start frame and end frame have a man that was there and wasn't there before, but now I'm telling the model where the man should appear from. And so once again, here I can go and click run. And one thing that I didn't mention earlier is here we can choose to generate with or without audio. And I don't actually need audio for this generation. So I'm going to toggle it off and simply click run. And now I'm just going to repeat this process for the remaining frames that I have. And so now, as you can see here, all of my scenes are generating, and I'm simply going to tidy them up very quickly. And while these are generating, we're going to go ahead and generate the background music for my story. To do this, I'm now going to use the music node at the bottom. And here we can simply describe the type of music that we want. Now, first of all, this is going to be background music. So I'm going to toggle the lyrics off. And here I simply want to put in my prompt. I recommend using Music V2, which is the latest and best AI music model from ElevenLabs. And for the prompt, I'm simply going to use something that matches the style of short film that I'm creating. And so here, it's kind of like a bedtime story short animation. And so I want something that's quite melodic and calm in the background that will match my voiceover, which is also quite calm. And so here, once I've typed out my prompt, what I'm simply going to do now is click run. And now our music is generating. And you'll notice while that's generating that we have the first scenes that have been generated. And here, as you can see, we've got a little hedgehog and then me in felt that walks in from the right. And then if we look at the third scene, we've got the same thing. Something that matches the style of the original frame from our storyboard and also matches the image to video prompt that we've given it. And if I quickly go back to the music and I click play, as you can see, something quite soft that will match the overall tone of the short film that I'm looking to create. And if I'm happy with that, I can leave as is. Now, while these remaining scenes are generating, what we can do is we can start compiling it together. And here we have 2 different options. First of all, we can use the composition node, which allows us to quickly preview what things will look like. And the second method will be using Studio, which is the second interface that we spoke about earlier, which also has access to all of these AI audio, image, and video tools. So to begin, let me show you the composition node so we can preview things quickly inside of flows. Here, if we take the first scene and we drag out from it, I'm going to move the music to over here, and then let me take the first scene and I simply now click on mix with audio, and here we have a composition node. And what I can do is one after the other, I can connect all of these scenes up. And as you can see, they're slowly adding themselves into the timeline at the bottom right here. If I move this node across, I'm going to do that for the final last 2. And what's great is that as well as doing it with video, I can also add in the audio. So I've got my music here, and we also added our audio voiceover earlier as an MP3 file. So I'm just going to drag this across, and I'm going to drag it down, and I can then connect this to the composition node. I can click add audio track, and now we can go and add our background music as well. And once I've connected everything up, I can simply click run, and then Flows quickly puts everything together for us to preview one after the other with the voiceover, the clips, and the background music. One issue while this is quickly generating is that we can't trim within the composition node. And this is why I mentioned earlier that we want to use Studio, which will give us full creative control over our AI short film. And so here, as you can see, we have a little hedgehog, we've got the background music, and we've got the voiceover, one after the other. Now I'm quickly going to mute this because we want to head into Studio. Like I mentioned earlier, we want to use the assets folder, and so I'm simply going to open this up. I'm then going to go to the folder that has my little Wanderer assets, and I'm simply going to right click on each of these, and we're going to do save to assets, and we just want to save it to the little Wanderers folder. And we're going to do this for each of the clips. So click on the three dots, save to assets, and then click on the folder and click save. And so I'm going to do this for all of the assets that I want for my short film. Now back in ElevenCreative, if we open up the sidebar, here we're going to click on Studio. And Studio, like I mentioned earlier, is a little bit more like your traditional video editor powered by all of the AI tools within inside ElevenLabs. So if we click on New Blank Project and we click on Video Project, what I'm going to do now is we're going to head to Workspace, and then we're going to select the folder where we've put all of our assets, and one by one, we can add them all to the timeline. So I add the first scene, the second scene, the third scene, the fourth, and finally the fifth. Now, as you can see, we've got them all in a timeline, and I can customize and place them wherever I want, and I can also trim off the edge. Now, before I go and do this, what we actually want to do is go back to files, and we actually want to drag in the music and also the voiceover. So first of all, I want to add the voiceover. And the reason we want the voiceover is that we're going to time and trim the clips to the voiceover so it matches up and it feels whole and complete. And then I'm also going to go and add the background music, and the background music is going to be way too long, as you can see. So what we're going to do is simply trim off the end just like so it matches the length of the voiceover. Now, again, this is background music. So if I click on it, as you can see, we've got the audio settings, and I'm simply going to bring this down and have it be maybe 15%. And then I want it to fade out when we get to the title screen, which you'll understand in just a little bit of a second. So here, I'm simply going to add a 3-second fade. Now I'm going to move around, trim, and sync everything up with the voiceover. So here, this little title screen, I want the beginning, just like that. I think that's perfect. I don't want this to be too long. Again, we've generated about 7 seconds. I only need a few. So I'm going to have it like that. Then this is the fourth scene. Once again, it can be a lot shorter. And this is the third scene. I'm going to trim this just like so. And then this is the second scene. And then this is the first scene. And so with a very minimal amount of editing, this is what the project looks like.
In a quiet corner of the world, a tiny adventurer takes her first step. One step, then another, until the whole sky opens up. Little Wanderer.
As you can see, we've now created our first short film using ElevenCreative. And there's a lot of things that we could tweak here. There's a lot of things that we could adjust. Looking back, I don't know if adding me in the scene was the best thing to do, but it's just to show you what is possible, because truly anything is possible with inside Flows, with inside of Studio, and you can bring to life any short story that you imagine. And the great thing about Studio is that, once again, all of the tools that are available in ElevenCreative are available in Studio. So if we did want to change the music, well, we could simply click on music, and then here we could directly regenerate the songs within Studio. We also have the speech, so we can go and customize and change the text to speech and the voiceover directly within Studio. And we also have video. And what's great is we actually have the history of everything we've generated within image and video directly in Studio. And so here we essentially don't even have to leave Studio if we want to make any changes to our short film. The last thing we might want to do is add sound effects. And here we've got the sound effects tool. And so once again, maybe we want the sound of some leaves rustling. Maybe we want the sound of some little footsteps. With SFX V2, ElevenLabs model, you can simply describe the audio you want, generate it, and then quickly add it to the timeline. And once again, if you go back to ElevenCreative and you open up the sidebar, here you can also find sound effects. So you can directly generate it here or browse the massive library of all of the sound effects that is available straight within the platform. That's how you can create your first short film using ElevenCreative. And one thing that I do want to mention, if we go back to Flows, the whole reason Flows is the best interface for creating with AI is that if we wanted to regenerate this entire film, but it turns out we wanted to use a different character, well, here we simply have to go and regenerate this character reference sheet, and then we could quickly click run from here, and then it would regenerate every single frame and every single scene with an entirely new character while keeping all of the other prompts the same. So it'd have the same style, the same pattern, the same beats, the same generations, the same storyboard, just with a new character. And you can do that for any little detail you like. And so that's the basics on how to create your first AI short film with ElevenCreative. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section down below. And if you want to get started and create your first AI short film inside of ElevenCreative, you can click the first link in the description. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. There's a lot more resources on the channel. And if you want to take it to the next step and start using the Flows agent to help speed up your short film creation, watch this video right here. Thanks for watching.